Howdy, howdy! Frosty510 here with a review of Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde for PlayStation 5. So, let's just get straight into it. I'll jump into a match and then just talk through. I've got a roughly 22 hours, 23 hours gameplay time. So I think, that's more than enough to give a review of a Vampire Survivors-like Horde game, really. So let's jump in. So you got the 8 classes. You've got, why is it 7 and 7? 14 different weapons. Very strange. And they've all got different mods. They've got 2 mods. Each weapon has 2 mods you can get. There's a big skill tree that you slowly progress through as you get your resources from completing your runs. So there is some depth in there in terms of progression. And it keeps going to later on till you start getting into the brutal mode, and then you're killing bosses in brutal mode to get upgrades, even more ability damage upgrades, and special abilities right at the end, which I don't know what they are, so maybe they're really good. But a lot of these objectives are killing certain enemies, or doing a certain number of challenge missions with certain characters, which they can be the most challenging part of the game, to be perfectly honest, because there's some characters that are a lot better than others. Like, let's be frank, Conrad is an absolute beast. That's why his challenge is at 1 star, because he's just a beast. So he's pretty slow, but he's a lot of health. And so he makes things bigger. So it's not that he boosts any of these too much, but getting life regen on the Tangle Vines is just ridiculous. And then you have a guy like Hugo, who has 8 health points, but each hit he takes knocks 1 health off, so he's a very different character entirely. So there is a bit of variance from the characters. That said, it's good how they all have different bonuses to the abilities, starting abilities. And they're, Maxine is just a pain in the ass. She just has no health and she's quick, but it's tough. And then the sickle. So yeah, it's good that they all offer different things, and that does affect gameplay dramatically in some cases, some not so much. So let's just jump into a match, and yeah, so I do recommend the game. Let's do the most basic build of all, the absolute easy mode. And Dark Forest. Now let's just go to the start area. We'll go on. Yeah, so you do have different difficulty progression. And just like any Horde game, you kill dudes and get weapons. Pretty damn simple. For the sake of this, I'll do it later. So performance-wise on PlayStation 5, no issues. Haven't had any issues at all. Let's go with... So the game works perfectly fine, which I was kind of worried going in, thinking that because this is sort of it's well tested on the PC side, but not as well tested on consoles in terms of the number of enemies and whether that has a massive effect on performance, which it doesn't. The PlayStation 5 at least is able to cope, and this is PlayStation 5, not PlayStation 4, so I think that's important to note. And yeah, I think it's probably as clear a demonstration of what the game is. This is pretty much it. It gets better, the difficulty goes up, there's many bosses. At the end of each stage, which is 15 minutes, you have a boss, you're locked in a small arena and you have to fight them. And they've got certain abilities, which they aren't too challenging, depending on where you position the arena, which you can decide, basically. So where you are standing when the boss spawns, it'll do a circle around you. Which I'll show in this. Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, so it's $15 Australian or $14.95, so very cheap. I think with the depth that it offers and the fact that it is a fully developed game, it's not still in early access and all that sort of stuff. I think it's worth the money. I think it's good. And I played, 20 hours. Some of it was a bit mind-numbing. There was a bit where I had to farm and just, get the upgrade materials. I did feel like that was about 10 hours in. I felt like I had to just farm just to get stronger, to be able to, beat levels and make it easier for myself. Again, I'm using what I think is the most powerful character in terms of defensively, the most powerful. So the survivability is much easier with this character, but every other one is, again, much more challenging. So it is that kind of, your progression at the end will be that you can use the weaker characters and you have an easier time, as opposed to just using the really strong guy and just flying through it. Now, one of the features of the game really is that there's time it takes to open a chest, to mine a resource. So there's timed interactions, but you can get them shorter as you progress. So there is a feeling of, it's quicker to open them later on because you've got so many upgrades, reduced the amount of time it opens by like 0.1 of a second or a whole second. And the cooldown, you get general cooldowns, crit chance buffs. And of course some abilities are easier to use, like the cleave here. I've just got to position myself well. And the mods, it's interesting the way the mods work. They become available once you've upgraded a weapon to a certain level. So each of your, on the left hand side, see how I've got +6 for Tangle Vines, +6 for Cleave, +8 for Shock Bolt. If I keep pushing Shock Bolt, it'll get there quicker. But some of them are unlocked earlier than others. So some at +8, some at +10, 12, 15. I think we'll go with tick. And some of the weapons work well together, but they're all really good on their own. So you will be able to do, once you're fully stacked, you'll be able to do runs where you just use one weapon. And some challenges, they want you to hyper focus on one weapon or two weapons. And they can be quite challenging for some characters in particular. So it is worthwhile to go through and do those just so you get the extra nodes on the tree. So there's a lot of unlocking things by doing challenges and just getting swamped. So now I have a mod for my Shock Bolt, which is a turret. But there's another mod that's even better. So, and those two go together, and it's really good. So I'm just going to keep getting Shock Bolt up. Boom. I'll show you that next mod. The bosses aren't too crazy in general play. It's only the final bosses have actual... Some of them you can shoot like tornadoes and things, but most of them don't really have much mechanic. There are physical obstructions in the map, so you can take advantage of positioning in terms of enemies can only come at you certain angles if you're in the right spot. So there is that. That's kind of the difficulty. That's the assist, is that they do allow you to just position yourself in a way where some of the weapons which have negatives in terms of where they hit can be mitigated. But yeah, game works well. I think I had a lot of fun. So again, there's times where it's a bit mind-numbing, which is kind of what happens with these sorts of games. But for the most part, I have enjoyed the thrill and the challenge of, surviving till the end. And then with some of the challenges with characters that aren't good, trying to, hang on with a couple of health left. Maybe I'll get another heart here. And then I've got 5 health left, and I've got hang on to the boss. And then you get to the boss, and then some of the bosses are a bit easier to handle, and you just need to be able to dodge them. Then being swarmed by some of the ranged mobs are quite annoying. So that's probably the only thing that's It's always a debate, I think, say in Vampire Survivors, that there are not many at all ranged mobs, and for good reason. It does sort of take you out of that mindless loop and instead make you go, oh, I've got to actively move and dodge. I've got to actually, you know, pay attention. So Hordes of Torment, I suppose, has probably got much more ranged mobs than the usual horde slashing roguelite. And that works well though, Hordes of Torment, because the enemies move in a kind of a flow. You can feel they move in a certain, and you can just turn your brain off and move in a certain way, and you'll always dodge the projectiles. Again, it's different for the bridge level with the Hydra and all that sort of stuff. You do need to pay more attention. But I think there's kind of a balance between mind numbing and engaging, and you need the choice, I suppose, in the end. And that the game offers both is good. Again, it always depends. It's supposed to be mind numbing at the start and then challenging as it goes up, or challenging at random periods of time. So I like, you know, random spawning bosses. There's stacks of bosses in there, stacks of bosses in Hordes of Torment. There we go. Now we've got Chain Lightning, and we've got the second slash. We're just going to start absolutely wrecking. I reduced the cooldown on the spawn time for the turret, so I could have 3. There aren't any magnets. Well, I think I found 1 magnet ever. So you don't get a lot of magnets. You get all the resources once you beat the final boss though, so you don't lose anything. But in terms of the ones you want to carry over, you don't get to, you know, level past to the final boss. And there's no endless mode that I've found. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. Oh, we got the Hardy Heart. We're going to absolutely too easy. So we have the pets in this, which is the little dude that follows you. And there's a whole bunch of them. They do provide a whole bunch of modifiers, so they can be upgraded. So the pets can all be upgraded just by finding another pet cage. Why they're in cages, I'm not sure. But it is, you know, it does offer a lot, because some of them boost like damage over time, crit chance, you know, time to open chests and things like that. So at your first instinct in all Horde games is sort of just stay around the same area, because you feel like you're going to lose your XP. But in Spirit Hunter's Infinite Horde, it is actually better to explore and to look for chests, because you actually get more rewards. There's shops. Let's go find the shop. There it is there. So we get gold, and we can spend it in the shop. The gold doesn't carry over, so it's just for limited time in the mission. It's all the other resources carry over. So you're encouraged to spend it, which I think is great. You're not punished for spending it. So here we can get a whole bunch of dudes. So Hardy Heart, get damage mitigation, some of that, and we'll grab another pet shop. It's just a coin one. It's not a big deal. So we have Echo Slash, so there's 2 of us for the cleave. So we have these big obstacles. And it's kind of trying to simulate a more natural environment, as opposed to the unnatural, just flat plain. But it does, you know, change the mob's positioning. Some bosses get caught behind objects. I'll see that. There's no ranged ones in this area, but it'll just be nice to have for the boss fight if we need it. But it is quick, 15 minutes, not 30, not 20. The music, some of the music is better than other music in stages, because of, and the enemies are all different in each stage, which is great for most of the enemies. And different in the different difficulties, like a higher rarity version with more health. But yeah, music, I don't think the music is that amazing, so, you know, you can turn it off. I think that's fair. And one of the things you can also do is, like in any sort of roguelite horde slaughtering game, is just watch something else. Like watch TV while you're playing, or, you know, that's kind of just the nature of the games, to be honest, is they do take a bit of pressure off at times, depending on what sort of challenge you're facing. so you can relax. Sound effects, I think they're not that amazing. They're honestly a bit high pingy sound, which is not great. So if you have, ear tinnitus, that sort of stuff can be a little bit triggering. So again, sound off is usually the best way to go. Same for, Vampire Survivors. And Halls of Torment music's alright, but I think I'd still turn it off. Yeah, still turn it off after a couple hours. Because it is one of those things where you are doing the same thing, you're killing lots and lots and lots and lots of monsters, but sometimes the music sort of emphasizes the repetition and can be a bit annoying. So let's just go there. So now we got bomb pods. So now we're shooting little. You do have a special ability, so I'll show you what that is. Each character has a different special ability. Some of them more attacking, offensive, some of them more defensive. So this is more defensive. You get health back and push away like big enemies and little ones as well. But it's just when you're being crowded, it's a good one to use. Oh, let's grab that. I do wish there were magnets, as in, grabbing everything that's off the screen. You can increase your pickup range, but and there's a pet that boosts it as well. So this pet here is really powerful. So I'll show you what it does, because I think this is one that's worth mentioning, because it's one you can get early on that actually does make it a lot easier. And there's kind of like a loot goblin thing that goes around as well. We've got mining. You can do multiple at once if they're overlapping. But yeah, it's pretty chill at times. The color, art style stuff, it works well. Honestly, I thought, looking at the previous gameplay and the trailers and things, I thought the art style was not that great, but then playing it, it's not a problem at all. It doesn't affect me in the slightest. It's fun. It's not like it's overlapping to the point that I can't see anything, but at the same time, there are natural obstacles that will obstruct your vision. You just got to be somewhat careful at times, not all the time though. So it's pretty good. Gotta keep grabbing that. It's gotta get cooldown, duration. Because the matches are only 15 minutes, you'll find that you won't have enough time to upgrade everything. So you will have to make a crucial decision about what weapons you want to go with, what weapons you want to specialize in, because there just isn't enough. You need a lot of XP to level them all up, all 4 of them. Well, you gotta get to level 100 really, or even higher. So it's gonna be. I just want to get the poison one. There are markers, so you'll get, if there's shops, it'll show on the screen. If there's chests from bosses, it'll show on the screen. In the corners. Oh, up against the wall. Where are we? 12. So we're 25. Actually, echo damage is probably a good idea. Let's increase the grow size. So I've got a pet that attracts the attention of mobs. So it's a really great for weaker classes. Just help you. Now we've got a little Plants vs Zombies pea shooter. Cool down. There we go. Still almost got Poison Cloud ready. So yeah, if you like the look of the game, it is on console. It's on PlayStation now. If you don't want to play it on PC, or if your PC isn't optimized, or I think it's worthwhile trying it out. I had good fun. 20 hours, easy, and I could play more. It's one of those ones where you do start going, wait, should I be playing games where I'm more stimulated? But that's just a question you ask yourself. So it is good in certain situations. It's better, of course, if you're watching like a movie or something, or a stream or whatever. It is nice to just have something, and then you just turn the volume down and just sort of progress, because you're always getting progression. One of the good things is you can trade the currency. So the early on currency, the blue one, which I've got 354 of, you can trade it up for the next currency and then trade the next one up as well. Which is something you just unlock a little way in. So that's just, I think that's really important to have. If, so you can, even if it doesn't give you that much, it's just good to have that progression. But that said, the final tier of item, you've got to beat the bosses on a certain difficulty. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Which I'm not worried about the other stuff. I'm just worried about getting the special ultra resource. There is a hardcore mode as well, which, if you die, it's over. So it's a good option to have. So what I was talking about with the final boss area is this. You're locked in this area, and because I've got some cactuses here, I've got some obstacles. He's got a fair bit of health, but there's nothing too crazy. Because my shock stuff is just going ballistic, because the cooldown's so low, just absolutely. I'm not even worrying about positioning myself so the cleave can cleave. So we ended up with 14 Tangle Vines, cleave 18. Pretty basic. And then yeah, you collect everything at the end. So you don't lose any resources, so that's one of the nice things. I do think it's pretty cool. And it says at the bottom how many bosses and all your damage numbers. And then it gives you like a multiplier depending on the difficulty. So yeah, I think I really enjoy the game, and I'm happy it's on console, because I do want more of them on console. I do want, Vampire Survivors to come to PS5 eventually. Even not sure how it would work performance-wise, because I think Vampire Survivors is definitely one of the main culprits of like slowdowns and terrible bit rates and all that sort of stuff. This doesn't have those issues. It doesn't have the bit rate where you just can't see anything. Just again, this is part and parcel of the art style and the number of enemies and all that sort of the way they optimize the game. I think it's easier to maintain clarity. Again, depends on your character and the weapons you're using. Sometimes so it can be hard to see yourself. Most of the time, it's pretty damn good. So yeah, so here's the currency trading. So you can trade up. So we can have 20 of these. Oh, so good. So that's 50. And then with these we can buy the final tier of upgrade stuff. So I'm going to do 2 hard challenges. I've done 2 with him, surely. I haven't. God damn it. Brutal damage. So what I'll do is probably damage over time. So yeah, there is a dilemma early on in particular. You just kind of go, oh, do I want this upgrade? Do I want to focus on this weapon? Do I want to focus on this weapon? And it's like, oh, this thing, I want more mining speed. Don't want to do that. I've got to kill that enemy, so where have I got to find them? So there's a bit of ooh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? And decisions, which is good. I think it adds a depth to the game, and it's a great thing. Okay, I kind of like this one. So we've got brutal mode. Now I can beat the boss there, and even more challenging. Viper Village is really hard, so it's one of the ones I recommend staying away from. But yeah, I'll show you the challenges. So on the ledger, you have your stats, things you've beaten, and which characters you beat them on. Then you've got challenges for each character, which I've got to do a lot more of, where they limit the weapons you can use, and they say can't use these ones, or can't use those things, and they give you some starter pets you've got to upgrade. And so the aim is to get them to like 25, and then I haven't got frost spears, so I need to unlock frost spears to be able to do that challenge. This one I haven't got the poison trail, but it, you know, it offers you different circumstances, more of an encouragement to use different heroes, so you can unlock extra nodes. There we go. That's what brutal was. So let's go, like, look at that. Look at that. And then we go like, oh, we can do those. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. So yeah, it's, I think, really well designed. Performs very well, music, yeah. And very basic. You just walk around, you have triangle is your only real button, apart from just your steering around. You can steer with the normal numpad, the arrows, as opposed to the analog stick, but it's easier with the stick. So now we got those there, and then we got those there. God damn, those are expensive. So yeah, that was Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde. $15, great value. This is Australian money, of course, so it'd be cheaper or more expensive depending where you are. And it's a fully complete game. So I'm looking forward to, of course, I'm looking forward to Vampire Survivors and Halls of Torment coming to console, if they ever do. I hope they do. And getting more roguelites, proper roguelites, Horde destruction games to console, because I think, again, they're going to make money. And why wouldn't they do it? That's why I kind of disappointed Vampire Survivors went to mobile first rather than pushing to console. But I mean, it doesn't even work on mobile; it just crashes my pad. I mean, once you get to a certain point, it just completely destroys anything it's on, computer or tab or whatever mobile device aside. So that is one of the things I'm worried about Vampire Survivors going forward. If it, you know, when it comes to console, if it comes to console, it can't come to PlayStation 4. Certainly not. Yeah, just do what Spirit Hunters did. Go straight to PS5. Xbox Series X and S or whatever. And yeah, I highly recommend the game. It's great fun. I've got a whole bunch of content on my channel if you want to see. Doing a whole bunch of stuff. But that said, you know, spin Frosty Fire 10. Tell me what you think. Will you buy the game? Will you give it a go? I think it's pretty cheap. $15, 20 hours of entertainment plus. I never get bored of it. But I do think I want to play other stimulating games too. I'm sort of like, my brain's shutting off. Yeah, does your brain shut off playing these sorts of games? You excited? You happy it's on PS5? All that sort of stuff? You tell me what you think. Leave a like and subscribe and all that jazz. Catch you next time. Bye bye.